what percentage of them, like you had over 2,000 children go through your program.
Oh, this is 100%. Every single child.
Every single time.
Every single time.
Didn't matter how many chairs they were throwing around or screaming at their moms. You would see every single kid would show you personal responsibility in that classroom.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, his program was so big and so successful that it was nominated and inducted into the U.S. Martial Arts Hall of Fame in the year, I believe, 2004.
Correct.
Yeah, and then the building that you were running your school out of was bought.
Right, big corporation bought out all the land. We were inside of an old elementary school.
Right.
They bought that all up and basically booted everybody out. And there was a transition point where I was supposed to be moving somewhere else, and divine intervention kicked in and moved me more towards to Meet You, so we could actually be bringing this to the masses, to the world.
Right. So, you know, me being a mom with 4 kids, I mean, I've taken my kids swimming to the malls and things, and yeah, sometimes you just want to pull your hair out if you don't set the correct environment. But if you're never taught how, it's not something that is instinctual. It is something that's taught. It's like leadership. It's not something that you're born with. It's something that you're taught, that you develop over a period of time. Because I've been looking, parents, and I have not seen, you know, I've seen some good teachers out there, some people that are teaching parents some good things, but this is the only philosophy that I have found in over years of research online and in bookstores and in parent magazines that is 100% leading and guiding the child with love to get the results that you're seeking. You know, I began to understand my role as a parent more.
That's key.
I learned the language of the philosophy, because the Creating Champions for Life philosophy is like, it's just like learning a new language. It really is. And when you can learn to speak the language that your children actually understand, then you can create some great success.
Absolutely.
So now, we've been talking Creating Champions for Life for almost a year and a half now with my family, and I still go to Tom for some coaching, for some questions, or this came up, you know, how do you suggest to deal with it? And so that's why we put together the home study system. So yeah, I mean, the more stories I kept hearing, I really wanted to have an opportunity, especially as we were going to create the home study system and bring it to you. I wanted to create an opportunity where I could take the 2 little ones out of their present environment into a completely new environment and start fresh with the Creating Champions for Life philosophy. Now, and when we began, my 7-year-old would have, say, 2 to 6 hour screaming temper tantrums because he was asked to put his dish in the sink, and he would maybe put it on the counter. And so to have him follow through, to actually have him put it in the sink, he would just start screaming and crying, and it was horrible to deal with. But you've got a 7-year-old boy who's in the back of the car telling us, well, you can't expect much from me because my brain doesn't work like everybody else's. You know, I'm not smart, I'm stupid, basically, is what he was telling us. Now, this would explain a temper tantrum that he had in his classroom a couple months before. So bad he was throwing chairs around, they had to evacuate the classroom and call me.
Zach is he's got a great drive, and we really could have called Guinness Book of World Records to have the world's longest tantrum.
Seriously.
Because he was going on solid for 8 hours straight.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at the opposite, he's got great potential to succeed hugely in life with the ability to persist.
Oh yeah, there's no question of the intelligence of these kids.
Right.
He learned through whatever the environment was before that if he could act out that way, somebody would do it for him.
Right, the youngest one of 4 kids, so 3 older siblings, me, dad, grandma, everybody he was the baby.
Nanny, whatever it is. They learn real quick that if I can go ahead and act this way, somebody will do it for me.
And so I've got grandma telling me he's got a learning disorder or whatever, and I'm starting to see the philosophy of Creating Champions for Life really start to work. My 10-year-old daughter was sad all the time. I never could get it. Here I am, a motivational speaker, an inspirational speaker, a teacher of success. I teach people to be happy, and my 10-year-old daughter is sad all the time. She was quiet, reserved, what you would describe as a victim. My teachers don't like me. Everybody picks on me. My friends are all mean to me. And I found myself at night tucking her in, like, you know, let's think of one thing that makes us happy today.
There's always a basic pattern that happens every single time. You're going to get a little bit ridiculed at first when it begins to implement.
Yeah.
Because basically, Zach and Jenny and your other kids, they were all on a welfare system, which means, hey, give me a check, give me a check, give me a check. I don't have to do anything. Just gimme, gimme, gimme. And then as they started to shift and go, well, what do you mean the checks aren't coming? What do you mean I got to start working? What do you mean I got to actually do something for myself?
Right.
So think of it for yourself is that if you were used to getting a government check or a welfare check for 5 years, clockwork, and all of a sudden it just began, well, we're not going to be doing these anymore. You're going to have to start stepping up and doing your own thing. You're going to ridicule and go, well, how dare they stop giving us those checks?
Right.
Then you can get violently opposed and go, you know, we're going to protest. We're all going to gang up and get you guys. You're going to owe us that. And then after that, you get accepted by self-evidence and go, wow, I could actually make 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times more than this so-called government check that I was making if I actually applied myself.
Now, parents, I will say that there were some times that were very difficult. You know, watching your 7-year-old try to turn on a hose and he can't turn it on, and I'm thinking, well, maybe it's, you know, too tight. I gotta go help him. And Tom would just go, just leave it alone. Let him do it. And he was turning it the wrong way, and he figured it out, and the face lights up, and you go, okay. It was so painful for me as a mother to watch him struggle to figure things out in the beginning.
Yeah.
But the results of going through those struggles were like, you can compare it to a butterfly. I mean, if you help a caterpillar out of a cocoon, you cut that thing open, the butterfly never ever has a chance to fly on its own.
The funnest examples is when he actually came back to Canada, he learned a life skill of how to actually mow the yard.
Oh, this is a good story.
Right?
Yes,
and
he
he was able
did.
to know how to rake and mow the bag and empty the bag and do all the things.
Perfectly, by the way, perfectly. The children have so much more potential, and I'm going to let you talk again. But from a mom's point of view, I never thought my 7-year-old kid could mow the lawn. I thought he was too little. I thought way too much that my kids didn't have potential, didn't have the smarts, didn't have the know-how, which they actually do.
Oh, yeah. They're normal. That's the key thing. They're normal.
Yeah, they're perfectly great.
They're totally normal. They were trained a certain way to act a certain way.
Right.
And you had great success on creating that.
Yeah.
So if you like that, don't change anything. If you'd like to see the opposite, then you train the opposite.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They can do the job.
When they begin to go, I'd like to have this bike. I'd like to go to this movie. I'd like to go to the mall. I want to go here. They know they're ringing them. They come up to the parent and go, you know, what can I do to earn $10 so I can go here? And all of a sudden, when he's back in Canada, he actually asked the neighbor.
We get home. He wants to have a sleepover at his friend's house. So he offers the mom, the single mom, to mow her yard if that would be enough for him to earn a sleepover. And
Right.
he mowed the lawn. Nobody asked him to. You know, he just turned 8 last week, so he was still 7.
Right. What could I do to earn to have the coolest birthday party? That's the first time parents begin to hear that.
Oh my God!
They fall over backwards. They don't even know what to say. Right.
Well, and within the first couple of weeks, we started to see some shifts in their attitude, behavior, respect. But within 6 weeks, my daughter Jenny was glowing. She was happy, and she's still happy today. She's like that authentic, happy smile. What I saw with Jenny was this radiant, confident leader girl step up, and I've never seen a child so happy. I mean, we've got her on video here talking about, you know, gimme, 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 and she thinks, and it was all to do with her self-confidence. That I actually robbed them of the opportunity to build self-confidence by just doing everything and buying them things. But I never saw that. When we left, he wouldn't do anything. I mean, you asked him to clean up his socks on the floor of his room, and it would be a temper tantrum. When we came back 90 days later, and I do have him on our website telling the world I like myself. That was his biggest thing. He never liked himself.
You empower them rather than feeling that they're not empowered. I mean, they didn't know that they didn't know. And then when you do know, you can make those different changes. So now when you start to see that, I like my children to be confident. I like them to be able to go, I don't have a broken brain. My brain works magnificent. And one of the neatest things I remember watching, especially like with Zach, is how willing he was to actually problem solve or solution find, as we'd call it.
And I see my kids just like begging, please step up, give me structure, allow me to struggle, allow me to go through this little bit so I can actually feel good about myself.
Right. And how cool is that when you actually have your child's friend come over and say, Mrs. Jones, what could I do in your house chore-wise to earn a privilege to stay over?
Right.
I mean,
oh my gosh, think about that.
Yeah, these are the results that happen time and time again with every single child that's in the program. On certain scenarios to make things happen. See, the intelligence is so awesome with your kids. They can always find ways that it doesn't work, ain't gonna happen, didn't get done. What's the opposite? Let me show you how it can done. Look how fast I got it done, and look, I did before you even asked.
And that was the biggest thing I saw. After 90 days, they both improved their school grades by 2 grade levels. They had the ability, the confidence now to follow through with their studies, whereas before it wasn't that they were stupid. Maybe they do have what doctors would call ADD, but it doesn't mean that they have to act out in bad behavior. It doesn't mean that they're stupid. It means that they have to learn a specific way. But just the parenting philosophies, changing around some approaches, learning the language of the philosophy of creating champions for life, literally changed the whole dynamics for all my kids. You saved them.
Oh.
I really appreciate you.